When you search for investing in Brazil, you will find a lot of brokers telling you about your next best investment or your dream property. However, none of them will tell you how it works after the handover. So when you get a concrete box and you need to transform it into a rental income machine. So that's why today I'm in São Paulo, Brazil, in one of my own properties. And I will show you exactly how the setup process for rentals works in the practice. Let's go. So we are back. We did a previous video. You can find it in the card on the side of the video. So let's start with the handle here. The door lock. Here I've implemented a smart lock. This is a must-have for your rental apartments in Brazil. Because we are not in 1990s anymore. There is no physical key handover anymore. So pro tip number one, you need to work with a specialized architect. Some architect that knows how to work, especially with compact apartments and with investors that understand the cost benefit of each item that goes inside your investment. But let's get even more practical. How is this possible to implement? To implement this, to set up your own apartment in Brazil, you need one specific tool before everything else, which is the non-resident bank account. Imagine, having to pay these people, this company that does all the work here from abroad with a SWIFT transfer every time. It would be crazy. They do not accept SWIFT transfers. And I tried to ask them, but it didn't work out. So I use my local non-resident bank account in Brazil. And that's key to use when you buy properties, when you contract all the type of services that you need, and also to pay the expenses of your properties like HOA fees, IPTU, which is the property tax, and so on and so forth. There is a dedicated video where I explain exactly why you need a non-resident local bank account to invest successfully in Brazil, or at least efficiently in Brazil. How much does it cost to set up an apartment in Brazil? That's the question I keep receiving almost every week. So to answer that, it's between 2,500 reais and 5,000, 6,000 reais for the higher end setups, okay? You do not need to invest all that money. That is around $1,000 per square meter. You need to always think about the strategy first. Where is the building located? What's the layout of the apartment? What's the type of the tenant or guest that you want to attract? And also, who's your competition? How much competition do you have inside the building? In this case, I have 360 apartments that are in the building, besides mine, of course. So I need to compete with other people, and plenty of them. So that's why my thesis is to differentiate this apartment from the rest, from all those guys that want the cheap white lights that looks like an hospital. So the idea is to use this, in my case, with a mixed use, so as a plan B as well if a crazy war or pandemic. Every 10 years, there is some happening around the world, and that's I want to be covered for a few months along the year to have a place that I like to stay. So it's not just about yield in my case, but your case is different. Every investor's case is unique. So you have to modulate the investment of the renovation based on the goal that you want to achieve, okay? There are cheaper setups compared to mine, for example, that can give a better ROI, but still that's purely for rental. It depends on your specific case. There is one detail that you have to keep into account. The two main cost items in your renovation, in your setup, are going to be obra civil in Portuguese, which is the work of putting tiles and also breaking walls and changing stuff, electrical parts, and so on and so forth. And also the marcenaria, which is the custom millwork. So all of this is all custom made. So that's the more that you put inside of your apartment of custom millwork, the more you're gonna spend by a lot. So those two items, obra civil and marcenaria, are gonna account for over 60% of the typically of the renovation, the setup cost. So if you want to invest in a property and set it up for long-term purposes, so for long-term, that's your thesis, long-term besides short-term, you need to put more of this millwork, okay, these furnitures, custom furnitures. But if your thesis is just short-term rentals, I mean, just two layers over here, one over there, I mean, and that's it. I wouldn't have had to spend for all of this, right? So let's start with the kitchen. As I told in the last video, we've implemented a system that allows the guest, when he gets into the apartment, to say, oh wow, nice, I'm feeling comfortable, I feel this is a clean, modern and minimalistic place. So here we've used the Oro Bianco by Portobello, which is golden white porcelain tile that gives a wow effect when the guest gets in. Then we've implemented a few details that allow for space maximization. So the maximum use of space that we have available, that are 25 square meters inside of this apartment. Like this is a pro tip, the trash embedded in the kitchen, okay, that saves space and clutter around the kitchen. The same goes for the soap dispenser, the dish soap dispenser, and also this one for the dishes, okay? Then, I mean, the furniture here in Brazil is custom made, custom millwork. Why? Because the layout of all of these apartments is different. So there is no, I go to the IKEA and I buy the cheap stuff. It's not gonna work very well. I mean, there are people that do that, but then the apartment looks horrible with stuff they got from other places that doesn't fit well. So then going forward, I mean, we also implemented this on top because you have to be open when you buy a residential apartment, R2V, okay? We have also another video telling you about the specific categories of apartments in São Paulo. You need to watch it because it has very important details for foreign investors that they need to know before buying properties in Brazil. So my thesis is shorter rental here, okay, just to be clear. However, I want to be open to long-term rentals as well. So that's why we need here the space available for tenants to keep their stuff, to keep their belongings, right? So going forward here, we have, it's going to be the fridge over here. Remember that when you buy appliances in Brazil, there are two main marketplaces that you can use. One is Amazon Brazil, and the other one is Mercado Livre. These are the main ones. And then after the fridge, we're gonna use this space. This space, keep it look at, this is a work in progress, then it's gonna be perfect at the end, of course. A space for the cleaning equipment, the cleaning stuff, okay, not to avoid having the vacuum cleaner around the apartment. Then here's gonna be the sofa bed, this sofa, sorry, with this on top. And here we are also optimizing space with this that can be open and can host belongings here, either my belongings or the tenant belongings in a case of long-term rentals. It can be put a lock over there to get it locked. And here we've seen in the last video that we were finalizing still the glazing system for the balcony. Now it's finalized. I mean, it reduces the noise, of course. Let me open it right, okay, here. And then this panel can be sliding on the side and can be open completely, or also it can be open over here just to allow the airflow, okay. So here we have the AC box is gonna be covered with a custom millwork as well, over here. And then here we have this to put some decorative object on top and make it more, of a more attractive apartment. Then going to the sleep part of the apartment, okay, here we have where it's gonna be the bed. The bed in this case is gonna be a 1.60 meter wide bed, not the 1.40, which is typically in many compact apartments. I would, whenever possible, I would avoid the 1.40 meters wide bed, which is called in Portuguese cama de casal. Okay, 1.40. I've chosen the cama queen, so the queen bed. Although it's not, I mean, the States not gonna be that size, it's gonna be bigger. But in Europe is the standard 1.60 as well. So here's gonna be where the tenants or guests can charge their phone and belongings here. And also, I mean, here we're trying to get use of the space as best as possible. So also here, I mean, there is some other space that can be used. We have the AC unit was moved from here to there for technical reasons. And also here it's a space where the guests are gonna put all the dishes. It looks very small, but I tried it yesterday, the dishes that they fit inside. And here it's gonna be for putting on and off the shoes and to store the shoes, avoiding shoes around the place. Also with LED lights. A very important detail that I want to show you is the LED lighting. I mean, as I've also remarked in the previous video, lighting is everything. So lighting is the cheap, or let's say low cost item that allows you to maximize the visual effect in your apartments in Brazil. Then going inside the bathroom here, I mean, we've implemented the furniture over here with plenty of space inside. And also over here, there is the golden shower door, okay? Also the shower is gonna be a golden shower, golden accessories. Then also the LED light has been embedded in the ceiling, which is much better in my opinion. And then, I mean, here we are. So just to give you an overview over here. So when you set up the apartment in Brazil, you have two choices. You either do it yourself, I mean, contracting each professional separately, or you choose a centralized company that does, a general contractor that does all the process. I mean, of course you can save by doing separately, okay? But you pay more doing with a contractor, but then it's gonna be much healthier for you. I mean, you save a lot of your time that is valued a lot, of course, as an international investor. But when you do a contract with a general contractor, especially, you need to set it up avoiding boletos, okay? Boletos is a form of payment in Brazil, basically an invoice, let's say, that expires on a specific date. And if you do not pay on a specific date, you start getting interest to pay on that sum. And if you do not pay, you get up in a blacklist. Okay, so be extra careful when you have boletos in a service contract that you pay in Brazil. Okay, so the idea is always to avoid that and to set up a PIX payment or local instant payment. So let's say the renovation process costs 80,000 reais, and you pay in three different parts. Okay. When the first part you pay by PIX on a specific date and you agree on another specific date for the second and on the third. But if you have a boleto and the general contractor delays the process, despite the delay you have to pay that on time, and it creates an uncomfortable situation for you, okay? So what I did is, of course, I set up with a PIX payment on a specific date contract, and also I left a part of the payment at the end, okay? Because if you do that and something is messed up or there is some mistake in the setup of your apartment, you still have that part of the money in your bank account that you need to deploy. But so the other part is incentivized to give you everything set up correctly. Be extra careful with that as well. And also, of course, work with someone that you can trust. So now let's talk about the missing points. So where are we going from here? I mean, this is, I would say, 80% of the progress for this apartment, but there are some details, of course, missing. Here it's still a work in progress. I've ordered on Amazon Brazil the microwave. Then we are gonna, I mean, here we have the cooktop as well, the stove. It's already here. The TV arrived this morning, actually. I was here by chance. It's a 43 inches 4K TV that I'm gonna install over here. Okay, here, as you can see, there is a hole with the old electric cables coming out. Here is gonna be a golden stick made of metal or aluminum with a TV that can be, this watches, a TV that can be rotated to be watched over here. And also, so I'm gonna sit here, watch the TV, of course, much more comfortable with this element over here. And also from here, with the working eating area, and also from the bed, okay? But I always have a plan B. That's why I've implemented this plug over here, because in case this gets broken along the use of gas and so on, I can put the TV over here in the future as a plan B, okay? And then what's missing? The bed. The bed is coming, okay, together with the bed, the structure, the mattress. I've chosen an Emma mattress, which is a brand well known in Europe because it's super comfortable, and that's an element, the mattress, it's an element where you have to avoid saving too much. This is a key element for the ratings and the stars that you get on Airbnb from the guests. So, I mean, invest in a good mattress. I mean, it was one of the best investments I made for my health to buy an Emma mattress. They are not sponsoring me, but just to give you can choose another brand if you want, still invest in the mattress. The fridge, I've decided to buy a fridge with an inverter technology because it's less noisy. And as you can see, you're gonna sleep over here with a fridge over here. So, I mean, silence is, it's important, I mean, to reduce the noise as much as possible. And then also we are gonna be changing this one, okay? This is a mistake. Mistake can happen as long as they get fixed in the process. This is it's too small. I mean, it's a kid game. This one is not a real thing. I mean, for guests or for an investment, they made a mistake. No problem, we'll get it fixed. Why it's important this one? Because if water falls over on the top of over here and then on the ground, I'm gonna walk around the place and bring dirt all around the place. So this, I mean, action reaction. Always keep that in mind. I wanna stress in this video as well the importance of the balcony glazing. So here, I mean, we've expanded this and broke a wall like over. It was half a meter more or less of wall, to expand it and give it more light to the apartment and more space. But when you invest in Brazil, and especially in São Paulo, the glazing, I mean, you have a choice, two options. Either to leave the apartment as it is, so with a sliding door in this part and leave the balcony open, that's gonna save you between 9 and 15,000 reais, or to invest 9 or 15,000 reais more. That's a range approximately on. That is a typical range for a compact studio apartment with a balcony glazing like this one, okay? The advantage, of course, is that you get more space inside the apartment and the flexibility to open or close this part. So as you can see, there are so many details involved in the rental setup process. That's why you should work with someone that knows what he's doing, either an architect or someone like us, Growabroad Real Estate, that can help you step by step in the setup process as well in this investment process, working together, of course, with local licensed professionals and experienced professionals like architects and companies like general contractors. If you want to invest successfully in Brazil, set up a strategy call by clicking the link in the description, and we'll start the conversation from there. So that's it for today for this video. I'll see you in the next video, and also we'll make a next video regarding the setup process of this apartment, so you will see how it is finalized. And I will show you also the building, because this is just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, here in the building, there are 2 pools, there are the 300 square meter gym. I mean, nice things. As someone asked me, how much did I spend, how much did I invest to get this apartment? It was around 60,000 euros, okay? So 325,000 reais. We are good for today. I'll see you in the next one.